Hello, children. Welcome to the Standard 5th Learning class. I am teacher Mona and I am here to guide you towards your journey in history. Today, we will study the second topic in history, that is, history and the concept of time. Division of time and the timeline. As the topic itself is quite suggestive, without time, history has no value. There are different methods of calculating time. We all know that time is continuous. It doesn't wait for anybody. But for our convenience, we have divided time into two periods. The method that we use for calculating time depends on our purpose for dividing it and the manner in which we do it. For example, at sunrise, we say, "It is morning now," and the day has begun. At sunset, we say, "It is evening now, and soon it will be night." At the end of the day, it becomes dark and it is night. This means that we have divided the day into two parts, day and night. Our earth rotates around its axis at a particular speed. Similarly, it also revolves around the sun. The sun has its own light. We receive light from the sun. However, we see light only in daytime. Nights are dark. How does this happen? Let us understand it. The light of the sun falls only on the front side of the earth. That is day on that part of the earth. Whereas the back side of the earth is in darkness. The sunlight cannot reach there. That is night on that part of the earth. When the earth rotates, the backside of the earth faces the sun and it is day on that part. Whereas the front side goes back in darkness and it is night in that part. When the earth rotates from west to east, only half of it faces the sun. So, the rotation of the earth causes day and night. Children, as the earth rotates around its imaginary line called the axis, the part of its surface which turns towards the sun becomes bright, and the part that moves away from the sun moves into darkness. The earth takes 24 hours to complete one rotation around its own axis. These 24 hours are approximately divided into 12 hours of daytime and 12 hours of night. A period of daytime and the following night together make one day. 7 days from Monday to Sunday make 1 week. 2 weeks make a fortnight. 4 weeks make a month. And 12 months make a year. In this way, we calculate time in bigger and bigger units. 1 year is followed by another, and when 100 years go by, a century is completed. When 10 centuries, that is 1000 years are gone, a millennium is completed. Such a method of dividing time is known as a unilinear division of time. Common Era or Christian Era. Children, let's try to understand what a timeline is. A timeline is a record of the past. Historians use a timeline to record the events. Timelines help us to keep a track of important events. They also tell us How much time goes by before the next event occurs? The event that occurs first is written on the left side of the timeline. Historians developed a special method of counting the years. They used the letters BCE or BC and CE or AD. BCE or BC stands for Before Common Era or Before Christ. CE or AD stands for Common or Current Era or Anno Domini. Anno Domini means in the year of our Lord. Historians used the birth of Jesus Christ as the reference date, that is, the beginning of the calendar. So, the years after his birth are written as CE or AD. The years before the birth of Jesus Christ are counted backwards and are written as BCE or BC. 100 years means a century. We are now in the 21st century. 2000 years have passed by since Jesus Christ was born. Mahatma Gandhi was born in 1869 CE or AD. He was born 1869 years after Jesus Christ was born. Lord Buddha was born in 563 BCE or BC. He was born 563 years before the birth of Jesus Christ. In the unilinear division of time, years that follow one after the other are arranged in a serial order. In the history books also, a chain of events that follow one after the other is presented in a linear, that is, in a serial order. For this, we usually refer to the Common Era or Christian Era, written in short as CE or AD. The full form of AD is Anno Domini, which means in the year of our Lord. The calendar we use today is based on the Christian era, now called the Common Era. This era began in memory of Jesus Christ. The first year of this era is the year when it began. It is shown with a number 1. The years after that are indicated by the next numbers in serial order. The first 100 years, that is, the first century of this era, is written as 1 to 100 CE or 1 to 100 AD. The period of the first millennium of this era is written as 1 to 1000 CE or 1 to 1000 AD. Time before the Common or Christian Era. The period before the Common Era is known as the time before Common Era, BCE, or before Christ, BC. The years of this period are counted and written in reverse order. The first century before the Common Era began at the year 100 BCE and ended with 1 BCE. Similarly, the first millennium before the Common Era began at the year 1000 BCE and ended with the year 1 BCE. So the first century before the Common Era is indicated as 100 to 1 BCE. And the first millennium before the Common Era is indicated as 1000 to 1 BCE. Clear everyone, children? Now let's look at some examples of this method of indicating time before the Common or Christian era. The lifetime of Vardhaman Mahavir is written as 599 BC to 527 BC. The lifetime of Gautam Buddha is written as 563 BC to 483 BC. Children, you know the following units of measuring time: a second, minute, hour, day, week, fortnight, month, year, century, and millennium. So, which is the smallest unit here? Yes, a second is the smallest of these units. There are various methods of measuring time in different parts of the world. Of this, the Common or the Christian era is the most widely used. We generally indicate a particular day by writing the date of that day. The date consists of the serial number of that day followed by the name or serial number of the current month and then the serial number of the current year. Besides Christian era, there are other methods too. We have seen that the Christian era began in memory of Jesus Christ. It is an age old custom to start a new era to commemorate or honor a special event. For example, the coronation of the great king. We know that Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj had started a new era or Shaka known as Rajabhishek Shaka in 1674 AD to commemorate his coronation. Shalivan Shaka and Vikram Samvat are the two eras that are used in India. And the founder of Islam, Prophet Muhammad, migrated from Mecca to Medina. The Hijri era was started to commemorate this event. The Parsi community in India uses the Shahenshahi era. Why is this said like that, children? Because in India we had different religions and so the different calendars were also being used in their communities. Historical periods. Children, in the first chapter you have learned that history is a science that tells about events that happened in the past. The past is a subject matter of history. In a broad way, the period of history goes back to the time of the birth of our solar system. Our solar system came into being about 4.5 billion years ago. Our Earth is a planet in the solar system. So, it is believed that the Earth was also formed 4.5 billion years ago. Now, children, the span of 4.5 billion years since the Earth formation is a vast period of time, and it is not easy to understand this entire period all at once. Hence, it is necessary to divide it into a number of stages in order to understand it better. Therefore, the time in history is divided into two main parts. First, the prehistoric period, and second, historic period. Prehistory simply means before history. The prehistoric period is the period for which no written records are available. Historic period is the period for which written records are available. Scientific methods of measuring time and establishing age. It is also called as dating. Children, when we talk about today's date or day of the week, etc., that time we are actually measuring time. We have seen that there are various methods of measuring time. These methods allow us to identify a particular day, month, or year with respect to an earlier or later day, month, or year. For example, if it is June, then we know which was the earlier month, right, children? It was May, and the next month will be July, right? If today is 10th of June, then we can tell that tomorrow will be 11th of June and yesterday was 9th of June. Thus, when we measure time, we actually measure its length. The events before the beginning of the Common Era are mentioned as having occurred before the Common Era. Information about some of these events can be obtained with the help of evidence, that is, a proof, buried under the ground. This evidence is usually in the form of broken man made artifacts, that is, the objects made by human beings or man made objects and fallen structures. With the help of these remains and using scientific methods, we can get to know the time of the events that took place thousands of years ago. For example, there are many layers of soil deposited one above the other under the surface of the ground. The period of these layers and the remains found in them cannot be known accurately in terms of dates. However, a rough assumption of how many years ago they existed can surely be made using scientific methods such as carbon 14 analysis and tree rings analysis, etc., known as dating techniques. Now, you must be thinking, what are these actually? These are one kind of scientific methods of measuring time and establishing age. Some information about prehistoric animals, plants buried under the earth could only be obtained with the help of evidence buried under the ground. And this evidence was in the form of fossils, bones, to find out the exact age of bones, how many years ago they existed, and can certainly be made available using scientific methods such as carbon 14 analysis and tree rings analysis. These methods are known as dating techniques. For example, if an earthen pot is estimated to be 5,000 years old, with the help of dating techniques, we can say that the earthen pot dates back roughly to 3000 BC. Then we can conclude that the period of the culture to which the pot belongs must be around 3000 BC. So, tree ring analysis is being used to find out about the trees, and carbon 14 analysis technique is used to find about the animal's age and bones, etc. Children, I hope you all have understood the lesson. So, you have to read this lesson from your EVS2 textbook, as in the next class we will revise this lesson in the form of question answers. Well, see you in the next class. Thank you.